Lassen Volcanic National Park, a changing land. The underlying volcanism that destroyed ancient Mount Tehama 500,000 years ago continues to influence this land. Molten rock from deep within the earth pushed up again and again, creating a vast volcanic landscape. A living volcano sits at its center, Lassen Peak. With a blast of volcanic gas, Lassen Peak exploded in 1914. Its mud and lava flows again reshaping the surrounding lands. Today, Lassen Peak dominates a recovering volcanic landscape. Lush forests and meadows amid cinder cones, jagged craters, and steaming sulfur vents. Lava mountains topped with snowbanks year-round feed crystal-clear streams, linking lakes that dot the countryside. Even a volcanic landscape cannot resist the healing of nature and time. Cycles of calm and violence, birth and death. The area east of Redding around Lassen is a land in perpetual change, a living volcanic laboratory proving nature's resilience. Redding, California, in the heart of America's richest outdoor recreation lands. Centered in the midst of this rich land, the remarkable modern city of Redding, California, the heart of California's Golden Circle. There are more recreational places, more exciting activities, more wondrous environments to be found within 75 miles of Redding than anywhere in the United States. Adventurers can make the city of Redding their base camp for day trips throughout the Golden Circle. Then after a full day's recreation, it's just a short drive back to the fine restaurants and comfortable motels of Redding. Mysterious Lassen Peak, a living volcano, rules the east. Magnificent Mount Shasta dominates the north. The glorious Trinity Alps are sovereigns of the west.
This is very nice, isn't it? Very, very nice.
I wonder how hot that really is.
It's hot. That's hot.
Bubbling pools of sulfur, steam vents, hot springs. Hard evidence of the turmoil that continues brewing beneath the surface of this remarkable land after hundreds of thousands of years. A volcanic landscape so unique, it draws scores of scientists each year to study its geologic and geothermal phenomena. Yet there are few restrictions in this living volcanic laboratory. Visitors can practically drive right up to many of the park's most interesting volcanic features. Lassen Park Road travels right over the volcano, coming within a few thousand feet of Lassen Peak. From a parking lot at the 8,500-foot level, day hikers can embark on a 4.5-hour round trip to the summit of Lassen Peak. Those who complete this 2,000-foot climb are usually very glad they met the challenge.
I've climbed mountains that are higher than that, but for my kids it was really wonderful. They got to face a challenge and struggle through fatigue and finally reach their goal, and they were very happy, so I was happy.
There are an additional 150 miles of well-marked trails day hikers can walk to active geothermal areas, ancient volcanoes and lava flows, or forested mountain country with meadows, streams, and falls.
Manzanita Creek, which feeds the lake here, is a very good spawning creek for rainbow trout and German brown. So,
in addition to well-maintained campgrounds and facilities in Lassen Volcanic National Park, the Park Service offers a whole range of interpretive tours. This one, near the crystal clear waters of Lake Manzanita, offers visitors a rare view of a pristine mountain lake. An equally impressive pristine water system winds down the side of Lassen Peak as a picturesque mountain creek. Very slowly at first, Hat Creek gradually widens to a section along Highway 89 where it provides the setting for a series of vacation getaway cabins and recreational campgrounds. As the highway follows along Hat Creek, there are a couple of surprises for those searching for the unusual. One as ancient as the volcanic forces that shape this area, and another that can see the universe as it was even before the volcanoes. This is the Hat Creek Radio Astronomy Observatory, operated by the University of California. It was located here because this small valley is completely surrounded by hills and blocks out any man-made radiation. Scientists here receive radio signals from distant galaxies that were sent out hundreds of millions of years ago. When they detect these signals, they're actually looking backward in time to a much earlier period in the history of the universe. This installation is also helping to track a modern phenomenon, the movement of Los Angeles towards San Francisco, as the Pacific Plate slips a few centimeters each year. Here in the Hat Creek area, far removed from the San Andreas Fault, the Earth has been very active for centuries, and the landscape reflects this activity. You can be driving along ancient lava beds one minute, then enter a forest of tall timber the next. The landscape here is about as varied and interesting as you'll find anywhere. This may be one of the more curious phenomena in the volcanic landscape east of Redding. It's called Subway Cave. Unlike ancient Shasta caverns to the north, Subway Cave stretches out flatly and evenly to form a corridor just beneath the surface of the ground. Subway Cave is a lava tube formed by molten rock that spewed from volcanic fields. As it coursed along the plateau, its outer surface cooled and hardened, while its hot liquid lava center continued to flow. Eventually, it left behind this hollow tube. Today, day hikers need only warm coats and flashlights to explore the snaking natural tunnel. Subway Cave is near the intersection of Highways 44 and 89. While most of this area is checkered with farms and forests, there are a few small settlements. The tiny town of Old Station near the north entrance to Lassen Park is best known as being an old Army headquarters in the days when the government first protected settlers in this region. Today, this hunting and fishing resort and this local gas station and watering hole across the street is Old Station's Main Street. But if you do stop at Uncle Runt's place, do watch out for baby rattlers. When you do get back to Hat Creek along Highway 89 again, you'll find it has turned into a nearly perfect mountain trout stream. This section, known as Upper Hat Creek, is heavily planted with pan-sized rainbow trout so vacationers can be sure to have a fresh breakfast.
Grandpa, is that the one I caught?
That's the one you caught right there, Scotty.
Further downstream, a unique experiment in wild trout management several years ago established California's first trophy trout managed stream. This lower section of Hat Creek is catch and release only. Bernie is headquarters for fishing supplies for this area, including a couple of shops that cater exclusively to fly fishermen. You can find out exactly how to match the hatch here.
The evening we'll pick it up with little yellow stones, caddis, and some small duns. And that's just about a couple of each one of those, and that'll about round out your fly selection to fish all day in Hat Creek.
After Hat Creek flows through the trophy trout section, it then joins the Pitt River, where the waters of both streams help to form Lake Britain. This man-made impoundment offers a wide range of water sport opportunities, including swimming, fishing, sailboating, canoeing, water skiing, and paddle boats. And if you look carefully up into the trees around here, you just might find a lazy porcupine sleeping the day away up on a branch. Excellent boat launching facilities and picnic grounds are available at Lake Britain. But the most impressive water activity near Lake Britain takes place just upstream a bit, before Bernie Creek adds its waters for the enjoyment of all. Like most of the land features in this part of California, the rocks that cascade these waters at Bernie Falls are a product of the area's fiery past. Bernie Creek not only spills over, but actually rushes right through Bernie's porous lava walls, creating a falls so splendid, Teddy Roosevelt called it the eighth wonder of the world.
Isn't
If there's anything more delightful than stepping back and taking in the sight of all this wonderful water, it's standing right out there in it and fishing. In this part of Northern California, no matter how special the waterscape, it just about always includes some pretty incredible fishing. But probably nowhere is the fishing taken more seriously than here on the gin-clear waters of the Fall River. Fall River bubbles up clear and cold from lava rocks at Thousand Springs, flowing glass-top smooth across a 4,000-foot-high plateau. Fly fishermen purr upstream in electric-powered boats drawn to a spinner fall of mayflies. Ahead, the water surface ripples as brown trout and rainbows in a feeding frenzy slurp up the heavenly banquet. Tiny dry flies you can barely see are used to imitate these insects and occasionally fool these wary wild trout.
Oh, that one did. Oh, you got the big one. You got a big one. Well, if he goes, you just got to really keep an eye on him. Here we go. Okay, give me some slack. Give it a little slack line. Oh, under the boat. That's it. You're doing fine. He's going to come right out. There he is.
Oh, my gosh.
Huh? Isn't that a pretty rainbow?
Oh, look at that fish.
The Fall River Valley is about 70 miles east of Redding on Highway 299 East. One of the principal exports of the Fall River Valley is wild rice, a North American grass that contains a delicious edible grain. Another recent export of this area is art. In recent years, the town of Fall River Mills, in fact the whole Intermountain area, has become somewhat of an arts and crafts center. Watercolor artist Jim Reams and his wife have a large commercial gallery featuring art and handcrafted items from many local artisans. Down the road a bit, visitors can sample even more of the local craftsmanship here in Gallery and Gifts, a local artists cooperative. One of the volunteers is Mimi Marug.
We have just about every variety of art and craft that you could imagine.
It seems everywhere you turn in Fall River Mills, local art surrounds you. Many restaurants and businesses also proudly display these works. In days gone by, however, people applied their artistic skills to the tools of everyday life. The Fort Crook Museum in Fall River Mills offers a look at some of this antique handiwork. Its contents tells the story of the Indians and early settlers of this area. The main building is fashioned after the historic round barn in nearby Little Valley. The four-building complex includes 6 completely furnished rooms of antique furniture, a blacksmith shop, a room containing early farm implements, a fine collection of Indian artifacts, and even the old Fall River Jail. Practically across the street from the museum, visiting golf enthusiasts can take advantage of a beautiful 18-hole championship golf course. Its unique layout poses a challenge to both professionals and amateurs. Birdies may be had on the golf course, but birders will find a virtual paradise in this whole area. Bird watchers can discover peregrine falcons, bald and golden eagles, cave swallows, whooping cranes, blue herons, and dozens of other species in the area. In the fall of the year, this entire area east of Redding offers a breathtaking display of colorful foliage. In fact, every season of the year offers visitors an almost magical journey to places left to the forces of nature. And each spring, the joy of this special part of the world comes alive with the blooming of gorgeous and delicate wildflowers. For this area to the east could take a lifetime of seasons to explore. A living volcano at the center of a land in change, and all around the splendid mountains, forests, and meadowlands that are the unspoiled natural recreation lands of Northern California. Wild, yet accessible, and all just a few hours' drive from Redding, in the heart of Northern California's Golden Circle.
Okay, you guys, chow's on.
The eggs are great.
It's very good.
Morning at Whiskeytown Lake, part of the Whiskeytown Shasta Trinity National Recreation Area. Whiskeytown Lake's splendid surface, 5 beautiful square miles of water, perfect for water sport recreation. Just beneath the surface lies another world of recreation opportunity. Trout, bass, kokanee salmon, and other fish stock the clear waters, ready to match wits with fishermen. Whiskeytown Lake by itself is reason enough to come to this part of California, but there are hundreds more equally attractive reasons. For this, the area west of the city of Redding is a richly blessed natural world of unlimited recreation opportunity. Redding, California, in the heart of America's richest outdoor recreation lands. Centered in the midst of this rich land, the remarkable modern city of Redding, California, the heart of California's Golden Circle. There are more recreational places, more exciting activities, more wondrous environments to be found within 75 miles of Redding than anywhere in the United States. Adventurers can make the city of Redding their base camp for day trips throughout the Golden Circle. Then after a full day's recreation, it's just a short drive back to the fine restaurants and comfortable motels of Redding. Mysterious Lassen Peak, a living volcano, rules the east. Magnificent Mount Shasta dominates the north. The glorious Trinity Alps are sovereigns of the west.
Appreciate the chance to be here in Whiskeytown and to say a few words from this distinguished community.
When President John F. Kennedy came here in 1963 to dedicate Whiskeytown Dam, creating one of the newest units in the National Park Service, he was aware of the magnificent countryside and exciting recreational opportunities available for all who come here. Above and below the lake, Clear Creek winds through steep gorges and rocky hills. This was once a major gold and silver producing stream. Today, gold panning tours are available through the Park Service Visitors Center. In fact, the search for these precious minerals is the reason most of this area to the west of Redding was originally settled. French Gulch, a town born in the gold rush, it died when the gold ran out. Today, there are still some who call this once booming town home. They're now surrounded with another kind of gold, a rich natural environment. Like French Gulch, the town of Shasta once prospered along with the good fortunes of its gold and silver seeking residents. Today, Shasta is alive and well. And there's still gold in this contemporary community which treasures its history. The hearts of gold of residents who foster a modern tradition. Every spring, practically all 750 residents of Old Shasta work together to create this arts festival and old-time fiddle jamboree. Everybody's welcome. The gates are wide open, the music free. The only thing to spend money on here is food, and perhaps a handcrafted item you can't live without. After a disastrous Shasta fire in 1972, residents created the festival to raise money to help their neighbors who lost possessions and homes. Now every spring, this warm tradition continues. Old Shasta's history goes back beyond the gold rush, and Vivian Hailstone is intent on preserving it.
This is a traditional Indian skirt being made the old-time way. With the braiding is with grass and the pine nuts.
The Indian Museum is one of several individual attractions in this state historical park. Among them, the restored county courthouse, complete with a bench where justice was decided and the gallows out back where justice was carried out. A favorite attraction of many in Shasta is the fully restored Old Litch General Store.
The general store right now represents a period of the 1880s and 1890s. They'll see general merchandising that will run from hardware to grocery items. There was liquor and tobacco also sold here. They had the licenses to do that. Flour, corn, beans, different things like this that were the staples for the miners at that time.
Driving further west of Shasta, one enters Trinity County, a sparsely populated and settled area, but a region of natural scenic beauty. Some of the small towns dotting this region are distinguished by their wonderfully colorful names, like Wildwood, Peanut, Hayfork, and Mad River. Others offer visitors rare glimpses of the past through their buildings and structures constructed in a time when life was less complex. Here in Lewiston, a one-lane bridge still carries traffic across the Trinity River, while the town's old-fashioned one-room school stands close to one of the town's churches and graveyards. And there's still quite a bit of gold prospecting activity in this whole area today. Along Highway 299, west of Weaverville, visitors driving alongside the Trinity River will see many of these strange-looking devices floating near shore. While the gold rush is just a memory in Old Shasta and French Gulch, prospectors today continue to mine the golden lining of the Trinity River and surrounding area with a vacuum dredge.
They began a new gold rush, I would say, starting in the early 70s. And now it's escalated to, makes people can make a living by dredging in the summertime.
A flash in the pan can be great recreation for the weekend or vacation time prospector. Randy McKenna shows us how to wash the silt away from the shiny metal.
All they need is a gold pan and possibly a shovel. What Brian's doing now is he's shaking down the smaller pieces of material and removing the rocks. And he gets down to the pan where he would have the smaller pieces which has the gold in it. Now he's going to wash. By shaking it, the gold is heavier. The gold's going to go to the bottom of the pan. And that motion he's doing is shaking the lighter sands, dirt, and so forth out of the pan while he's working the gold down at the bottom. He'll constantly wash the water over the top of it, at the same time shaking the gold to the bottom of the pan. It's basically pretty easy. It just takes a little bit of patience and a little bit of time.
With enough patience, even amateur prospectors can collect some color in a few hours. There are several prospecting equipment stores in the Reading and Weaverville area that can give you more information as well as caution you about where you can and can't pan. And here's what it's all about. Hal Joseph runs a convenience store in the heart of the region. He also acts as town banker for many prospectors in the area, buying and selling gold for them.
Today's spot is $456 and change, and we usually pay 70-75% a spot, so you can figure that 50 ounces now is worth, what, $25,000.
Like many of the old towns of the Golden Circle, Weaverville is another community that cherishes its rich history. Right here in the middle of town, visitors can see this noisy contraption in operation, a restored steam-powered stamping mill. It was originally used to pummel ore to separate gold flakes.
It's crushed to sand consistency, and then the feeding of the water into the battery box helps splashes the fine sand and the flake gold out onto the copper plate. From there, the gold is trapped on the plate. The tailings go out into the tailing pile.
You can always tell when Hal and his crew are running the stamp mill for visitors. Just listen for this signal right on Main Street. The Gold Stamp Mill is part of an excellent museum complex in downtown Weaverville, which includes paraphernalia from the mining era as well as other antiques and artifacts from everyday life during the gold rush. Weaverville, like Old Shasta and French Gulch, boomed when gold was discovered in Trinity County in 1848. Here, too, other gold rush memories live on. Gold fever brought men and women of just about every ethnic background through Weaverville. About 2,500 of the 49ers were Chinese. The house of worship they built remains today as Weaverville's most remarkable historic feature, the Joss House. It's still an active temple for the few Chinese families that remain in the area, making it California's oldest continually used Chinese temple. California's Old West traditions, like its exciting history, live on in Weaverville, a town that values its past. An entire section of historic Main Street has been preserved or restored. In buildings that date back to the 1850s, visitors today can shop for many unusual gifts that include jewelry made from local gold. Trinity County. You won't find one freeway here, even though this county is larger than the states of Rhode Island and Delaware. County folks take pride in not having a single traffic light or even a parking meter to contend with. Of course, with only 14,000 people living here, there's not much need for such things. But it is an area rich with things to see and do for the whole family. Whether it's dipping your toe into a crystal clear mountain stream or just relaxing and playing with friends, you'll never run out of opportunities for adventure here. What you will find a lot of in Trinity County are beautiful tree-lined mountain lakes, brimming with fish, large and smallmouth bass, kokanee salmon, eastern brown brook, and rainbow trout, big enough for state records, abundant enough for full stringers. The major fisheries in this part of Northern California's Golden Circle are Trinity Lake, with perhaps the West's best smallmouth bass population, Lewiston Lake, famous for huge brown trout and rainbows, and the Trinity River, one of the state's premier steelhead and salmon waters. Throughout the region, hundreds of small streams teem with wild as well as planted trout. Here's how Trinity County can promise an abundant fishery for years to come. Salmon and steelhead by the hundreds of thousands are released each year from the Trinity River Fish Hatchery. They'll swim the rivers from the mountains to the sea. When they mature, they'll swim back to these same rivers to spawn.
As the fish migrate up the river to spawn, they conjugate just at the base of our ladder, and as the closer it gets to spawning, they come up the ladder to us, and we trap them in a trap just behind this building. The ones that are ripe and ready to spawn, while they're under anesthetation, we take their eggs and sperm, unite them, and then incubate them for approximately 60 days. After 60 days, we put them in troughs, start feeding them, and after approximately 2 months in the troughs, we pond them into our ponds for releasing them at 90 to the pound smolts, which is about 6 months old, or 10 to the pound yearlings, which are 1 year old.
In the northern part of Trinity County, the glorious Trinity Alps, some of America's most spectacular scenery. Lush meadows, clear lakes, sparkling streams and waterfalls, rugged and wild, yet accessible. This is an accessible land, where these rock climbers access is hand over hand, right up the side of a mountain. Others come in by four-wheel drive, or in wilderness-restricted areas with pack animals or on foot. But for most of Trinity County's great recreation areas, the family sedan provides all the access you need. The magnificent recreation lands west of Redding, all just a few hours' drive from the heart of Northern California's Golden Circle. Mighty Shasta Lake, 1 million acre feet of water, California's lifeblood. Water for agriculture, irrigation for 2 million acres of cropland. Water for power, billions of kilowatts. Water for fun, 30,000 acres of flat water playland. The three Shastas, Shasta Lake, Shasta Dam, and Mount Shasta, just north of Redding, provide the setting for one of Western America's favorite recreation areas. Redding, California, in the heart of America's richest outdoor recreation lands. Centered in the midst of this rich land, the remarkable modern city of Redding, California, the heart of California's Golden Circle. There are more recreational places, more exciting activities, more wondrous environments to be found within 75 miles of Redding than anywhere in the United States. Adventurers can make the city of Redding their base camp for day trips throughout the Golden Circle. Then after a full day's recreation, it's just a short drive back to the fine restaurants and comfortable motels of Redding. Mysterious Lassen Peak, a living volcano, rules the east. Magnificent Mount Shasta dominates the north. The glorious Trinity Alps are sovereigns of the west. Just 25 minutes north of Redding on Interstate 5, this is a man-made wilderness. 365 miles of shoreline surrounding a lake with more water service than all of San Francisco Bay. This is the man-made part that makes the wilderness possible. A massive concrete wall that dams the water of 3 major rivers, creating one of Western America's greatest recreation areas. Water coursing over the top at 650 feet becomes the world's highest man-made waterfall. Each year, Shasta's giant turbines give Californians 2 billion kilowatt hours of electricity. Reaching deep into the canyons of the Pitt, McCloud, and Sacramento rivers, man-made Shasta Lake is very much a wild place ripe for adventure. Each river's stretch of lake seems a different place, a different world. There's many an adventure to be had at Shasta Lake, and nowhere does it say you have to rough it to enjoy it.
There's the beach over there that Jim did the belly flop on.
Shasta Lake's glass brings out the serious water skiers, and no one's more serious than Mike Siderhoud, 16 times national water ski champion. At his ski school here, he says every beginner gets up and skis the very first time out. From surface lures to deep water trolling rigs, there are lots of ways to fish Lake Shasta and lots of fishes to be fished. Every month of the year attracts devoted anglers to this magnificent fishery.
There you go. There you go.
There is another special world at Shasta Lake. This adventure begins with a boat journey, then continues on board a mountain climbing bus. Here is the entrance to a hidden land, the subterranean world of Shasta Lake caverns. For 250 million years, the forces that opened Shasta caverns worked in darkness. Today, there's a walk-in tunnel, stairs, guardrails, and indirect lighting, all of which make Shasta Caverns for tourists just about the newest ancient caves in the county. Just as a super houseboat turns a trip across Shasta Lake into a luxury cruise, these super creatures make hiking a leisurely, if not luxurious, adventure. Mountain travel through this region north of Redding is a whole lot easier when these gentle friends shoulder the load. Shasta's lofty peak is above 14,000 feet. Even without snow, it would be a difficult climb. Yet for many climbers, the rewards of a 100-mile view justify the effort. Some prefer to do their climbing on machines, like the new high-speed triple chairlifts that zip skiers up to Mount Shasta Ski Park. Nearly all who visit will pass through the town of Mount Shasta, right at the base of the mountain. Mostly, Mount Shasta is headquarters for supplies to explore the surrounding area.
Okay, you want to make sure that this comes on the outside of the strap here?
You'll find what you need in the many shops in this North Country community. For those less adventurous visitors, getting up the side of Mount Shasta can be as easy as driving Highway A10 to the 6,800-foot level. Panther Meadows can be the starting point for a leisurely stroll for a few minutes or a more extended day hike along many miles of mountain trails. About 2 miles west of town, the glory of 14,000-foot Mount Shasta is reflected in the clear waters of Lake Siskiyou. 430 acres of superb swimming, fishing, boating, picnicking, and camping, Lake Siskiyou is an impoundment of the upper Sacramento River. Throughout Northern California, state and federal government projects ensure recreation will continue for years to come. The Mount Shasta Fish Hatchery is one such project. It's on the road to Lake Siskiyou. You can look at or help feed some of the hundreds of thousands of trout that will eventually be planted in the streams and rivers throughout this region. Nearby, an old hatchery building has been turned into a museum with major exhibits designed and built by local volunteers. Once a year, a new major exhibit replaces the current one, but several items of interest are displayed more permanently, such as a look at hatchery operations 100 years ago and a survey marker that sat on the top of Mount Shasta. Folks have said that when the sun was right, it could be seen as far away as Sacramento. The recreation areas around Mount Shasta are only about an hour's drive from Redding. Mount Shasta, its ski area, Panther Meadows, Lake Siskiyou, the fish hatchery and museum. But there's another attraction that runs just south of this area that few people are aware of, the Pacific Crest Trail. This is an ambitious national scenic route covering some 2,000 miles and stretching from the Canadian border to Mexico. Its entire length is only accessible to dedicated hikers willing to spend 5 or 6 months, but sections of it are accessible where it crosses local roads. After retired logger Milt Kenny's wife died in 1972, he dedicated his life to meeting and greeting Pacific Trail hikers.
And it's a lonely life, and I started talking to these hikers, and they seemed so friendly that I decided I just meet them and take them anywhere they want to go.
After sometimes months of solitude, hikers are usually overwhelmed by the friendliness and goodness of this man who has been affectionately called the mayor of the Pacific Crest Trail. This is Castle Crags State Park. One look at these soaring spires of ancient granite explains clearly why they're called Castle Crags. The crags suggest a scene from a Western movie. In fact, real-life scenes played out here in 1851 were even more dramatic. Indians using bows and arrows lost an intense battle with white men using guns. Through here passes one of the more interesting segments of the Pacific Crest Trail. But anyone traveling along Interstate 5 can take the convenient exit to be at Castle Crags State Park in a couple of minutes. Well laid out trails allow even casual hikers to reach the very top of the crags and be back by afternoon. For those who prefer to do their walking on the flat, Northern California has plenty of that too, like this 18-hole course in the town of Weed. There are about a half-dozen courses in the Golden Circle, and you can get more information about them from the Redding Convention and Visitors Bureau. Man's mightiest machines have been challenged by this rugged land. Near Dunsmuir, railroads snake along steep canyons carved by rivers through mountain ranges. Powerful engines linked together for the haul. Rail buffs can enjoy a bit of Northern California's train history at Railroad Park Resort, just south of Dunsmuir. Visitors can still have lunch or dinner on a train here, but this old dining car isn't going anywhere anymore, except back in memory for a few hours. This is a place so rich in railroad lore, model railroaders hold conventions here. Dunsmuir has been a watering hole for travelers for centuries. Early local Indians discovered the delightful water at several natural springs in the area. They no doubt introduced Hudson Bay trappers to the water according to local history. Years ago, vacationers rode the Southern Pacific Railroad to nearby Shasta Springs to take the waters. Once there, they could walk a few hundred yards to Moss Gray Falls to admire this natural wonder. Today, you must hike in about 1.5 miles to see the falls. You don't have to look far around Dunsmuir to find natural springs. Here at Soda Springs, naturally carbonated water has been available to visitors for years, and for free. It just bubbles out of the depths into this man-made stone holding tank. Even today, residents pride themselves with having the best water in the world, and visitors can sample it right here in downtown Dunsmuir. Dunsmuir is also well known today for another kind of water, trout water. The upper Sacramento flows right through the middle of town, and anglers can catch a limit right under the Interstate 5 bridge, as well as at other easily accessible spots along the river. Joe Kimsey has been a fishing guide in this area for years.
Misconception is people think you have to go either up the river, down the river, or something like that, and the best fishing is right here in the middle of town.
Whitewater kayaking and rafting experiences are available on several rivers in the area. These adventures can be as exciting as you want them, from challenging Class 3 water to gentle and smooth runs where every member of the family can feel completely comfortable. If you're interested in a beautifully pristine river, you won't want to pass up the McCloud. Sections of it are private, some are public, some have special use regulations. But the section near Audina Meadows Campground, after a winding drive on dirt lumber roads, offers a hint of some of the rugged beauty that the McCloud River has to offer. You can get directions to both the McCloud River and Lake McCloud in the town of McCloud. This quaint community, nestled at the southern foot of Mount Shasta, was originally a lumber town. And do drive around town where you'll see rows of company houses built to support the McCloud River Lumber Company years ago. There are few places in all of America that offer the spectacular sights, the history, the boundless and varied recreation available here in the North Country. Yet in the midst of all this unspoiled natural grandeur, there are the comforts of home. Inspiring vistas in a land of challenging recreation opportunities. Here in Northern California's Golden Circle, there is plenty of space and all the freedom you need to fully enjoy some of America's finest recreation lands, all within a few hours' drive from Redding, at the heart of the Golden Circle.